All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another DC Worlds Collide video. This is Mr. Squirrel, as always. Glad to have you here. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about there is some, I don't want to say call it drama, but there is some frustration building in the community, which I think is valid, about kind of the way things are being rolled out. And before I start this video, I want to validate criticism. I want to validate people's feelings. Um, I never want to say, oh, you're dumb. Everyone's entitled to their opinions. Everyone's entitled to their frustrations, their feelings. I think it's all valid. Um, and I think just when I was looking at the Reddit, there was kind of a big, I don't want to say explosion, but there was like a lot of back and forth on the Reddit today about the game, the state of the game. And I agree with some things, I disagree with some things, but that's my opinion. It's where I stand. Right. And I think all of this is actually stemming from how Deathstroke was dropped. He was dropped a week after Peacemaker, and people are feeling that they didn't have enough time to summon. They didn't have enough time to recuperate their summons from Peacemaker, and they feel like they're being bled dry. I do want to address that I don't agree with that sentiment. I think that's how these games operate. I think that's more of a bigger issue. Like that's kind of how the systems of all of these games operate. A lot of them function this exact same way. They're going to try to hit you with FOMO. Does it work? Sometimes. Does it not work? Sometimes. Um, do I think it's scummy? Yeah. Do I think but at the same time, if you're playing a gotcha game, you got to know the character you want could drop at any time. And you have to kind of play like that. And I will say this over and over again. You don't need every character. You should only be summoning right now. If you're in the 30s, like the 20s and the 30s, you should be planning out and or having two teams. And you should only be summoning for characters that will impact those two teams. Don't Everything else is noise. You don't need to worry about it. Like Peacemaker did not push the needle on either of my first or second team. Therefore, not summoning for him. However, Deathstroke, he pushes the needle on my block team. Therefore, summon. So, and when I operate like that's how I keep every day. I don't. Sorry, I don't do my weekly recruitments. Once I saw them do the Wonder Woman feature recruitment, I stopped doing this. Like you will see here, I at that 1 out of 30. I've stopped summoning on these. I haven't summoned on them since Wonder Woman dropped because I've been waiting for Deathstroke. I knew at some point the character I wanted is going to drop. I'm going to save for that character. Secondly, you should be spending your crystals on the sets every day, picking up both three of them if you have the crystals for it, because that's how you're going to get these characters. Now, I do want to discuss that the other sentiment that is emerging, and I think the Deathstroke is more of a symptom. This issue with Deathstroke dropping is a symptom of a greater problem. A problem that I've been trying to talk a lot about, and that is the lack of communication from the dev team about what is happening in game for the players. Now, granted, did they release dev notes, a seasonal update about 2 weeks ago? Yeah. And was it great? Yeah, I appreciated it. I even said, hey, this is awkward because I was saying they need to communicate. And they did. However, I don't think seasonal is enough. I think they need to be doing just a monthly newsletter. If you're not going to give us a calendar, then a monthly newsletter. Just, hey, it'll take a couple, like 2 hours to put together. Write a monthly newsletter. Give people updates on what's up. And I think you will alleviate a lot of these issues. Because if I'm looking at what the community is saying, we just want to know what's happening. That's it. I think the other thing too is they need to get more content creators, and maybe not me. I mean, there's Alex, there's Angrifer, there's tons of other people. There's community, but I also think like engaging with the community members in ways that, like, what are your feedback on these characters? How are these characters operating? They do have these things on the official Discord, but it would be nice if we leverage people that have a lot of knowledge on this game to test characters out maybe before they get released. Because I'm just going to be honest with you. 2 characters in a row now, 2 legends in a row, and they're a little underbaked. I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't think Peacemaker's fine, but he could have been a little bit stronger. A little bit. Do I think he needs a buff? No. But he's on the lower end of that spectrum of good, right? He's very niche. And that's fine, but niche should also be a little bit better. I think it would really benefit the devs if they had a little bit of help from players that know this game, like the ins and outs of this game. At the same time, there's a sentiment of, is this game dying? It's not. And when you look at the fact that DC has about a 10-year plan right now, James Gunn even said we have a 10-year plan. There is so many movies, games, all these things that will be coming out that will bolster this game. This game is fine. Just being real with everyone. The game is fine. It's not going anywhere. DC, they're fine. This game is fine. It will be fine. But there are things that they can improve on. I think, engaging the community, maybe having a beta server where people can test things out and give them feedback. Just saying, devs, that might help with, like, maybe helping with tweaking some of the numbers. Like, oh, hey, yeah, I don't know how this number feels. Oh, these are the interactions that I'm seeing with it. Yada, yada, yada. Maybe not. I don't know. But the more and more that they engage with the community, the more and more I think the sentiment will decrease. People get frustrated when they don't know what's happening. And right now, people don't know what's happening. This Deathstroke is indicative. It's more of a symptom. Deathstroke is the frustration with Deathstroke is because people didn't know what was happening. A couple weeks ago, I was really frustrated because I didn't know Blue Beetle was dropping. I've been wanting Blue Beetle forever. Well, forever. Since I started wanting to make a block team. And then it's out of nowhere, they drop Blue Beetle. I will say, if you want to drop these characters, these banners, fine. I'm kind of like gotchas. Gotchas are gonna gotcha. Get it? They're gonna gotcha. But fusions should be known a week in advance, easily. If you don't give people heads up on fusions, now that's not okay. Because that's like, we need to prep for that. You need to give people a month, like a week in advance notice so they can prepare for it. If you do that, you will benefit the players and they will reward you as such. Because they're like, okay, well, I'll spend this week to help, like, maybe I'll spend like $5 here so I can get a couple summons, yada, yada, yada. And don't be stingy with the encrypted tokens when you're doing fusions. Don't be stingy because you were the last time. Don't be stingy. But like, I think there's also sentiment that players are feeling like dollar signs. It's okay to ask your players to spend money here and there, but we shouldn't feel like we're a dollar. We should feel like an actual person, which I thought you guys were doing great in the beginning. And you're noticing now that you've moved the needle to more trying to penny pinch a little bit, players are spending less. When players feel that you appreciate them, they will spend because they want to give back to the game. You treat people like humans, they will reward you as a human. If they treat them like dollar signs, well, they won't always reward you with dollars. And so communication's a thing. I also think that your practices are becoming a little questionable. But at the same time, gotchas will gotcha. This is still a business, and I understand that. I'm not trying to say don't make money. I'm just trying to say be careful about how you're treating your player base. Right now, I think the devs need to get in front of this. There is a negative sentiment building. I don't think there is a negative sentiment fully, but there is a negative sentiment building. And they should get out in front of it and talk about it and be like, hey, this is what's going on. We hear you. We are doing our best. Great. Do your best. We're trying. That's all we want to hear. Right? Sorry we didn't give you enough notice. We'll try to do better in the future. Boom. Okay. Great. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. That's it. That's all you need to do right now. At the same time, I also want to acknowledge, I think they're doing good stuff too. People are frustrated by these featured recruitments, but let's be real. We've been asking them for this and they did it. People were saying we don't have enough ways to get legendaries or like pick the legendary we want. So they dropped feature recruitments. And the second they dropped them, I was telling people save, save, save because they're going to drop the character you're looking for and then you're going to want to pick that character up. If you don't save and if you try pulling for everything, that is on you. That is not on them. That's on you. These games operate as from a business model. Business is to maximize profits. You, the player, have to make very calculated decisions to maximize your own spending. Like, not by maximize, I mean be efficient. If you're going to try to go for every character, understand you're going to have to spend. That's just the way these games operate. Immediately too. Like, oh, I need it now. That's how they get you. You have to play from a way of thinking, okay, this is what I need for my main teams. This is what I'm going for. And I think players are expecting to get everything for free. A little bit. Not everyone. Most people are angry about the communication. 100% on board with you on that one. I've been saying that for 2 months. Yada, yada, yada. But I do want to push back on this notion that like these banners right here, the feature recruitment, we've been asking for that and they did it. I am going to push back on that. I'm going to say, well, they did it. They did what we asked. Could they have communicated a little bit more? Yeah. But these games that's how they operate too. FOMO is FOMO. I don't think I've met a gacha game that doesn't act on FOMO. Am I saying it's right? No. But I'm just saying that's how the business model is. And you have to anticipate. You have to anticipate. I'm glad they at least dropped something here. Because can you imagine 2 weeks with just the Peacemaker banner? That would have sucked. They're developing a pattern now. They're going to release these characters and then a week later they drop something else as well. I'm going to be real. That's kind of on the players a little bit. If you're summoning on everything, that's how they're going to get you. Now, when it comes to fusions though, that they need to let people know because that takes a lot of resources. And if you're going to make it 80 for like 120, 60 for each, then you need to give players time to prepare. If you don't give players time to prepare, you will build frustration, especially with fusion, because that's like the free-to-play way to get legendaries. And you have to give people preparation time. If you don't, 100%, oh, I'm not on board with that. You're just dropping fusions out of nowhere, like how you did Blue Beetle. You can't do that again. There's a one-time deal. You cannot make that mistake again. You cannot make that mistake again. You have to give people a week notice at minimum. That's where you drop these monthly dev notes and you say, hey, these things are dropping this month. Be prepared. Great. Then okay. You don't even have to say when. Just say, hey, they're dropping this month. Great. I know the Wonder Woman fusion and Sinestro fusion. Okay, great. And these are the characters you're going to require. We're not telling you when. We just tell you in this month they're dropping. Fine. Okay, great. Give me time to prep. They'll be a week from now or more. Great. Thanks for letting me know. So this comes back to devs. I think you guys are doing fine in many regards. You have a great gameplay. You have a very fun game. But communication is very much lacking. And the community is getting frustrated now by it. And you need to step out in front of it. You need to talk to us what's going on. And not just like once every 2 months. Once a month. At minimum. At minimum. Communication is the most important thing to keeping people happy. And I was reading through the Reddit. Most people are saying, I like what the game's doing. Some transparency would be great. I don't think that is not an unreasonable request. And to the players, guys, we asked for feature recruitments and now they're doing it. You have to anticipate they are going to drop these things randomly. And that's how gachas work. FOMO. And if you don't need a character, you shouldn't summon for them. And then that gives you summons to save for the characters you're looking for. I think there's two sides to this coin. And they did listen. They added the feature recruitment. I'm thankful that they did it. I skipped Peacemaker because I was always waiting for Deathstroke. Deathstroke dropped. I was ready for him. Just saying. You gotta be, as a player, conscientious. You also have to be conservative of what you're doing. That's it. All right, ladies and gents. This isn't like some crazy video. It's just there's negative sentiments building. I totally think they're valid. And at the same time, I also want to push back on some other things. That's it. That's my thoughts on this. I hope this helps. And as always, again, argue with me, push back on me. I love the community. I think we have I love the comments in the channel. I try to respond to most people. And I just appreciate y'all. Thanks for listening. And remember, failing is just your first attempt at learning.